Hello, my name is Roman Djindjihashvili, and this is the continuation of my series about world's greatest players. And today's topic is the best known to Americans Soviet grandmaster that was best known is Boris Spassky, because he played two matches with our Bobby Fischer, and that's how it became very popular in America. Boris Spassky I have met numerous times, and I spent a lot of time with him. He was absolutely unique person. Well, unique because he is very, very honest, straightforward, and very likable guy. I met him first time in late 60s when he was already world champion. I met him in Russian city of Rostov and team championship, USSR team championship. And he impressed me very much. He impressed me a lot earlier as a chess player, but very much as a personality. He was very outgoing and very friendly with anyone on any level. He didn't like to talk too much, to associate it with high government officials or big representatives of certain companies. He liked people, friends who can be friendly with and who can be joke with or occasionally drink. He never was much of a drinker or alcoholic, not even close. He just liked to have a good time. In 1972, when Boris Spassky played Bobby Fischer, Americans know only what happened in the match and what happened about the match. So how decisions were made about this and that, but I don't think too many Americans know what happened in Spassky's camp. When Bobby Fischer didn't show up in the beginning of the match, the first or second game, he was forfeited. Boris Spassky strongly opposed this forfeit, and he said because of the misunderstanding, he would want to replay this game. However, there was direct instruction from sports committee in Moscow and direct order not to do that. And Spassky then, as any other representative of Soviet chess school, didn't have liberty of making his own decision. Decisions were all coming in a form of order from above. So when Spassky got this free point, that was the turning point of the match. He couldn't play the match properly. He couldn't concentrate on it. He felt a great deal of guilt, even though he knows it's not his direct fault, but by accepting it, by accepting the forfeit win, it made him very, very uncomfortable. But honestly, I think Bobby was a lot stronger then and would have won the match anyway, but that affected Spassky a great deal throughout the match. And when you see the games that were played between them for the rest of the match, that wasn't the Spassky on the peak of his career. And he lost match without much of a resistance. And that affected him a great deal. After losing the match to Bobby Fischer, I was talking to Spassky. I met him several times, and I introduced him to my older brother that passed away several years ago. My older brother was a dissident, and Spassky wasn't very much liked by Soviet government. And after losing the match to Fischer, that means practically for Soviet Union, Fischer was the enemy. He was the enemy because he was representative behind the Iron Curtain. So he was representative of capitalist world. And for Russia, that was more than enough to consider him as an enemy. So the reason I brought it up because my brother gave him advice. Then they became very friendly. My brother lived in Moscow. He was quite famous writer, philosopher, and dissident, and they kind of found common grounds to talk about, and my brother gave him advice, which very luckily might have saved Boris's future. He told him that chances are that government is creeping up on him and he may be punished like thousands of dissidents were punished in Russia, not necessarily by death, but by some great repressions against them. So he advised him to go to psychiatric clinic for Spassky, go to psychiatric evaluation, and get a note that he is psychologically very stable. So since he was stable, there was no suspicion of any kind. He got that paper. He got that paper in official document, which means if Soviet government wanted to do anything to Kim, and what they do, their most common move would be like, he is unstable, he has psychiatric disorders, and that's why they may put him away to clinic and just take him away from public. And that was very smart move that Boris did, and that's why they couldn't do anything to him. Shortly after that, Boris met this lady before the match, was Russian descent woman that lived in France, Marina. By the way, I met her. She was very charming lady, and shortly after they got married, and Boris Spassky moved to France. But he remained dual citizenship, and he was traveling. He loved Russia. He didn't love Russian government, like I don't know who did. And so he was traveling from one country to another. And then in 1974, when there was a match between Karpov and Korchnoi, World Championship match. Actually, winner of the match supposed to play Bobby Fischer, and I was Viktor Korchnoi's second. Viktor Korchnoi didn't trust too many people. He was very well-known pessimist, and he was very skeptical talking about any person. He wouldn't trust anybody, but he could trust Spassky because he knew Spassky from childhood. They were brought up in the same Russian city of Leningrad, and they practically had same coach in the beginning of their career. So he trusted him first for that reason, and secondly, because he knew that Spassky wouldn't make any deal with Russian government to support Anatoly Karpov. But unfortunately for Korchnoi, Spassky couldn't have been much of a help in '74 because at that time he was very, very lazy as a chess player. He didn't like to work on chess for himself, and he would much less like to work for someone else. He was very lazy. I remember when I had a lot of meetings with him in the hotel room in the preparation for the match, and even during a match, he would come to my hotel room, and when there was a time to look at some position, he would say, maybe it's a better idea if I took a little nap. He would lay down on a couch, and after taking short nap, he would need another short nap and another short nap, and we never had practically a chance for a short analysis. So there was always time for short nap, but not for short analysis. But that's the kind of person he was. He didn't like to work on chess much, but he was absolutely natural talent and total genius. He was total fanatic, chess fanatic, when he was a little kid. Well, he would take the chessboard, folding chessboard, or the box where they put the pieces, and he would go to some conventions, to some meetings. He will sneak in somehow, and he would ask some their scientists or conference members to play a game of chess in between. Those are very well-known facts, So he was absolutely unique person. He was friends with some very well-known Russian celebrities, such as, well, I don't know how many Americans know Vladimir Vysotsky. He was one of the biggest talents on music and poetry, and he was good friend with Maxim Rostropovich, a famous musician, Rostropovich's son, and he was well liked in that atmosphere, with those people. He was very comfortable with them. That's another reason for Soviet government not to like him. So he was absolutely unique person, very, very friendly and very outgoing. He was good and very close friends with Fischer. And one very interesting fact, there are two players that I knew very well and very close personally, Korchnoi and Spassky. They were so opposite in the approach in the chess matches. Spassky couldn't play chess match and he couldn't concentrate on the game if person that he was playing is not friendly to him. And when he played match against Korchnoi, there was a match against Korchnoi and Spassky. Spassky all of a sudden became Korchnoi's enemy from nowhere. And the reason is because opposite of Spassky, Korchnoi couldn't play anyone who he is friendly with. So to play match against the person, first he has to convert him into an enemy. And then he has great killer instinct, and then he would play in full strength. And there is a Spassky which is very opposite of him. and Spassky couldn't take it. So it did affect him a lot. So when Spassky lost that match, that created a lot of controversy between them. But shortly after, they went back to be friends. So the reason why? Because Spassky always wanted to be friends, and for Korchnoi, there is no point of being enemy anymore, because match is over. Now it's live, and they have no confrontation in the live, so they are back friends. So this is very interesting view on these two great players. But now I want to show you, it's interesting that Spassky was never big fan of working much on chess. He was playing openings that not very well recommended in chess, and where a lot of creativity starts in very early stage of the game. One typical game of Spassky's true talent is game that was played in USSR Championship in 1960, where Spassky was like 23, 24 years old, very young player. And remember, 24-year-old chess player at that time was equivalent to maybe 15-year-old player today. And the reason why people were started playing chess in a later stage of the life, and not so much was known that can be in chess theory that can be adapted quickly without inventing anything. And there were no computers. So everything you do, you have to explore by yourself and finally come to realization about certain positions. Today, it's all known. People start at the age 15, 16, they already know it all. That's the critical difference. So here is the game played in 1960 in USSR Championship against David Bronstein. E4, E5, and here comes the opening that was favorite opening for Spassky, and not too many other players played then. F4, King's Gambit. King's Gambit is practically outlawed in today's chess on highest level. And the reason why? Because in the computer era, this opening is worked out to the last detail, and based on final analysis, white couldn't even hold the equality. But when Spassky was playing, the analyses were infinite. So you couldn't exhaust the analysis, and that's why in hands of true artists like himself, like Spassky, this was very deadly weapon. And you can see it yourself. EF, knight F3. There are several different options to play for black here. There is G5 move. There is bishop E7 move. There is knight C6 move. There is knight F6 move. Well, D5 was played by Bronstein. Pawn takes and bishop D6. Knight C3. Knight E7. D4. Castle. Bishop D3. Knight D7. Castle. H6. And knight E4. Now, this move is played to develop a strong attack on the king side. Notice that allows the move that happened in the game. Knight takes d5, c4, knight e3, bishop takes e3, fe, and c5. Now, I analyzed this game with 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 with a powerful engine, and originally she was giving big advantage to black, but after careful analysis, we came to conclusion that human intuition still doing very well against computer calculations. Bishop e7 and bishop c2, intending, of course, queen d3, rook e8. As you see, Spassky is not in much of a hurry to get the e3 pawn back. Rook e8, queen d3, and here black played e2. This is understandable move. There is no knight f6 check because knight takes on f6, and queen h7 doesn't work. And the reason e2 is understandable move, black tries to deflect white's queen and then possibly play knight f6 and have reasonable game. However, after e2 comes absolutely shocking move by white, knight d6, threatening queen h7 mate. Move that was played by black is very natural, is knight f8, just protecting it. Of course, black could have taken the queen, the rook first with the check, but that transposes to the same, because after knight f8, white has no time to take care of e2 pawn because the knight is hanging. So in this position, the best move, according to 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸, which I don't think any human would be able to make, is bishop takes d6 and get under very powerful attack. Well, actually, first e takes f, and then rook takes f1, bishop takes d6. And this attack looks so powerful that I don't think any human would be willing to try to play it for black. Threatening queen h8 mate, and after cd, cd, queen h8, rook e1 check is necessary after king e7, rook e1, knight e5, and queen takes g7. This by itself, it looks so scary that I don't think anyone in his right mind would go for it with black. But according to 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸, that's the only chance for survival, and position is unclear. It's very, very hard to go for it. And since we know that Bronstein is a human, so he didn't go for it. He went knight f8, knight takes f7, black takes the rook, white takes back, and here is the position where white is a rook down and has absolutely crushing attack. In this position, there is no defense for black. Black played still bishop f5. Taking the knight is absolutely suicidal. because if there is knight g5 check, there is knight e5 double, they are both double checks. So king takes f7 is out of question. And bishop f5 was played. Queen takes f5. And now queen d7. Queen f4. You see, white is down in exchange, but threats are overwhelming. And this bishop on c2, it's like a laser that completely strangles black's king. After bishop f6, knight to e5, queen e7, black is totally lost. Here, white could have finished the game in one move that is not very easy to notice. Well, actually, it's not that difficult either. The white could have played queen g4, and there is practically no defense to knight takes h6. But move that was played by Spassky is just almost as good, but just the win is a couple of moves longer. Bishop takes e5, knight takes e5, and the game is over after king h7 and queen e4 check. Black simply resigned because king h8 will be met with knight g6, and g6 will be met with either rook f7 check or rook takes f8 followed by queen g6. White has wide range of winning continuations. So that's why after this move, Bronstein resigned. Very, very inspirational attack. And wins like this in the King's Gambit, Spassky played quite a few. And he played it on a very high level as well.